Welcome to Idea Sessions. In this video, we will cover 9 unexpected ways we self-harm. Negative self-talk. Subconsciously, we often engage in behaviors that harm our mental and emotional well-being without even realizing it. Negative self-talk is one of the most common ways we self-sabotage. Constantly criticizing ourselves or focusing on our flaws erodes our self-esteem and perpetuates feelings of inadequacy. This internal dialogue can become a cycle where each harsh thought reinforces a belief of unworthiness, making it harder to break free. Similarly, procrastination may seem harmless at first, but it builds stress and guilt, creating a pattern of self-doubt. Overworking and neglecting rest can lead to burnout, while ignoring emotional or physical needs fosters a sense of depletion. Staying in toxic relationships or comparing ourselves to others further reinforces feelings of inferiority. These subconscious habits are all forms of self-harm, often unnoticed, but they slowly undermine our well-being, making it essential to recognize and address them for better mental health. Procrastination. While it might seem like just putting off tasks, it can have significant long-term effects on mental health. Procrastination often stems from fear, anxiety, or perfectionism. When we delay important tasks, we create a cycle of stress and guilt, which can lead to feelings of inadequacy or failure. Instead of tackling challenges, we avoid them, causing a buildup of pressure and anxiety. This avoidance reinforces a negative self-image as we begin to believe we're incapable of succeeding or handling responsibility. Additionally, the procrastination cycle leads to a constant sense of urgency, leaving us scrambling to meet deadlines and diminishing the quality of our work. Over time, this pattern of avoidance and self-criticism can erode confidence, increase stress, and contribute to feelings of depression or anxiety. Recognizing procrastination as self-harm is the first step in breaking free. Overworking yourself. Overworking yourself is a subtle yet impactful form of self-harm that many people don't recognize. When we push ourselves too hard, constantly striving for perfection, or trying to meet every expectation, we neglect our physical and mental well-being. Overworking can lead to burnout, exhaustion, and increased stress, but the signs are often ignored until it's too late. This behavior is often driven by a need for validation, fear of failure, or a belief that our worth is tied to our productivity. As we continue to overextend ourselves, we neglect essential self-care like rest, social connections, and downtime, which is crucial for maintaining balance and health. Over time, this can result in chronic fatigue, anxiety, and even depression. The subconscious belief that we must always be on leads to feelings of guilt when we take breaks, reinforcing a harmful cycle. Recognizing the need for balance is essential to breaking free from this form of self-harm. Unhealthy relationships. Staying in unhealthy relationships is a subtle form of self-harm that often goes unnoticed until the emotional toll becomes too great. Whether it's a toxic friendship, a strained family dynamic, or a harmful romantic relationship, these connections can drain our energy and self-worth. We may subconsciously tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or emotional abuse, believing we don't deserve better or fearing loneliness. Over time, this behavior reinforces feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt, leading to a diminished sense of self-esteem. In unhealthy relationships, we may prioritize others' needs over our own, neglecting our emotional well-being and personal boundaries. This lack of self-care can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, and even depression. Recognizing when a relationship is negatively impacting us is key to breaking the cycle. Setting healthy boundaries and surrounding ourselves with supportive, respectful individuals are essential steps toward healing and maintaining emotional health. Ignoring your needs. Whether it's neglecting sleep, skipping meals, or avoiding emotional self-care, these actions can slowly erode our physical and mental health. We may ignore our needs due to busyness, guilt, or the belief that others' needs come first. Over time, This neglect can lead to exhaustion, irritability, anxiety, or even depression. When we fail to prioritize rest, healthy eating, or personal time, our bodies and minds become depleted, making it harder to cope with stress and challenges. We may also suppress emotions or avoid addressing underlying issues, creating a disconnect from our true selves. This ongoing self-neglect can create a vicious cycle of burnout and emotional numbness, reinforcing feelings of unworthiness. Recognizing and honoring our needs, whether physical, emotional, or mental, is essential for healing and building a healthier relationship with ourselves. Escaping through unhealthy habits. Escaping through unhealthy habits is a subconscious form of self-harm that many turn to in times of stress, pain, or overwhelm. Whether it's binge eating, excessive drinking, overusing social media, or turning to substances, these behaviors may initially offer temporary relief but ultimately worsen mental and physical health. These coping mechanisms can numb uncomfortable emotions such as anxiety, sadness, or loneliness, but they prevent us from addressing the root causes of these feelings. Over time, the cycle of escape becomes more entrenched, leading to feelings of guilt, shame, and self-loathing. As these habits take a toll, they can increase stress, disrupt sleep, and contribute to physical health problems. Despite the short-term comfort they provide, unhealthy habits prevent emotional growth and self-awareness, reinforcing the very issues they aim to suppress. Recognizing these patterns is crucial to breaking free and finding healthier ways to cope with life's challenges. Constantly comparing yourself to others. In today's world of social media and constant connectivity, it's easy to measure your worth against the curated lives of others. This comparison often leads to feelings of inadequacy, self-doubt, and low self-esteem. We might focus on others' achievements, appearances, or lifestyles, believing that we fall short in comparison. This internal narrative reinforces the idea that we're not enough, causing anxiety and dissatisfaction with our own lives. Over time, these comparisons can create a distorted view of ourselves, where we feel constantly inferior or unworthy. Instead of celebrating our unique qualities and progress, we remain fixated on what others have or do. Breaking free from this cycle requires self-compassion and the recognition that everyone's journey is different. Embracing our own strengths and individuality is key to building healthier self-esteem. Avoiding difficult emotions. Avoiding difficult emotions is a common yet subconscious way we self-harm, often in an attempt to protect ourselves from pain. Instead of confronting feelings of sadness, anger, or fear, we might suppress them, distract ourselves, or numb the emotions with unhealthy habits. This avoidance may seem like a temporary relief, but over time it leads to emotional buildup and intensifies internal struggles. Suppressing emotions can cause them to resurface in unhealthy ways, like through anxiety, depression, or physical symptoms such as headaches or fatigue. The longer we avoid addressing these feelings, the harder it becomes to process and heal. Emotional numbness can also result in disconnection from us and others, making it difficult to form meaningful relationships. Facing our emotions, whether through journaling, therapy, or self-reflection, is essential for healing. By allowing ourselves to feel and process, we break free from the cycle of avoidance and move toward emotional resilience. Setting unrealistic expectations. Often driven by perfectionism or societal pressures, these unattainable standards can create constant stress and disappointment. We may push ourselves to accomplish more than is feasible, whether in work, relationships, or personal achievements, believing that we are not enough unless we exceed our limits. This constant striving can lead to burnout, anxiety, and a diminished sense of self-worth when we inevitably fall short of these expectations. Instead of celebrating progress or small victories, we fixate on what we haven't done, creating a cycle of frustration and self-criticism. Over time, this can lead to feelings of failure, discouragement, and even depression. Learning to set more realistic, compassionate goals is essential for mental well-being. By acknowledging our limits and embracing imperfections, we allow ourselves to thrive without the weight of impossible expectations. We hope this video helps you, and check out our other video related to mental health.